Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I have the pleasure and the honor to interview Jeff and Kim. They are a representative of Inventory Lab. Inventory Lab is a very, very amazing tool that I think any of you who started in retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale pallets, it's a must tool. You have to have it if you really want to take that business seriously and not as a hobby. And that's why I really decided to connect to Inventory Lab and try to get them in our show, and they were so down to earth to be able to accept our invitation, which is I'm really humbled and I'm really happy to have you guys here. So today we're going to go over a few questions, and at the end we're going to go and have a little demo that Kim will take over the screen, and she will be able to show us the best features of Inventory Lab. So hi Kim, hi Jeff, how are you? And thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having us in. I'm Kim McCaffrey. I'm the Customer Learning and Development Coordinator at Inventory Lab.
And I'm Jeff Campbell, one of the customer champions. So if you write into support, you might get an email from me or one of the other champions.
Oh my God, I thought I was the only champion. What happened?
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys coming in. I think we got the best people here to be able to have the customer relation at the same time, the technicality side of it, which is really important. And I think there's a lot of things that we need to appreciate with that tool, which is basically is going to give you peace of mind, is going to give you speed, is going to give you automation, is going to make sure that your process of validating a product really easier for you with all the tools that is being integrated within Inventory Lab, which is we're going to get into, which is I'm very happy about. So we're going to start with the first question. Please just explain what's Inventory Lab in a few words.
Sure. We like to say that Inventory Lab will support folks through the entire product life cycle. So everything from sourcing inventory, listing, printing labels, that's a really big deal, but then also everything else. So you're able to find all of your inventory management tools there, and then everything with the sale and after the sale. And that's one of the things that we were talking before getting together today, that we really want to focus on those tools that kind of really come into play after the sale that are, really just very valuable, probably the most important and most valuable part of Inventory Lab's tool suite. A lot of people come to us for the listing capabilities, but we really want to get them over to the other tools because that's where the real value is.
I couldn't agree with you more, and that's why I think it's a very, very valuable tool. And what it has of accuracy, and just to make everything really easy, especially when you really expand, it gives you a lot of flexibility that to be able to expand a little bit much bigger, and at the same time you'll be able to know exactly if you're in the red or you're in the blue or in the yellow or whatever it is that you want to in the business, which is all of us, we can agree when we first started that business, come on, it was like a hobby. I didn't know how much I was making. I know I was making sales, but I knew there's money coming in, but I didn't know how much exactly I was making. So be able to know that feature in Inventory Lab is really amazing. And also listing, because if you have hundreds of products, it's very hard to go each one of them, scan them, do them in Amazon's dashboard, and that's really makes it easy, which is I'm really happy. So before we get into really the nice stuff about the Inventory Lab, I'm very excited. I just want to talk about them, but I think really to make sure that the audience really gets the full picture about Inventory Lab. Do you mind if you tell us more about who's eligible to use Inventory Lab, what account they should have, and also what countries does it support?
Sure. So you want to make sure that you have an Amazon Pro Seller account. So you might remember back when you started that you paid $1 for each item that you listed. So that would be the seller account that's not a Pro Seller account. And then you upgraded to that $39.99 Pro Seller account. So that is required. That's a requirement actually of Amazon to connect your Seller Central account with a third-party software tool like Inventory Lab. That's a requirement of theirs. And you also want to be listing on Amazon.com. So that's going to be the US marketplace. We do have folks that are in other countries that are selling on .com. So what you want to have for that would be a US-based list ship from address. Essentially, that's really the only two things you need to have in place. You want to have that Pro Seller account, and you want to be listing on .com. If you're outside of the US, you want to have a US-based ship from address.
This is really awesome, and I think that's very important because I live in Canada. As if you guys know, I live in Canada, but I source in the US, so it's very helpful. Or for the part that in Canada I wasn't able to use it, which is really was the hassle. But who wants to sell in Canada if they have the US? Honestly, it's a much bigger market.
It really is a growing market. We just came from the Proven conference last week, and we're always advocating, for our folks selling on .ca, They really need the support up there, but it really is a growing market. It used to be that they started off selling on .ca and then moved, over to .com. But we're looking at options to be able to support them, not exactly supporting .ca, but maybe better supporting the folks in Canada that are selling on .com.
Yes, this is really awesome, and I agree with you. It's .ca is very good, but the demand is not there, and I think it's growing. And I think it's a very good place for people to learn. I think I learned from .ca, so it's very easy steps for you to learn. You can make mistakes; they're not going to be expensive. You'll be able to learn everything, the platform, in a very easy way, not competitive like US, but hey, the money's there. Do you mind if you tell me your tool is more targeted towards which audience? Is it like the retail arbitrage people, the online arbitrage people, wholesale, private labelers? What do you think exactly it's your audience?
There's going to be functionality for all of the above. So I'd really see like the majority of the people that come to us initially, they're going to be brand new. And we're still seeing people go through that same process where they start off maybe selling used books, because it's easy to source and inexpensive and easy to ship. And then moving on to retail arbitrage. And, their goal often is to, the tipping point would be private label or wholesale. So we have customers that are doing all of the above. Our tools really like something like Scoutify, that's really beneficial for the folks that are doing the retail arbitrage and online arbitrage. But what you were kind of talking about before, like describing this platform that is flexible, that was intentional. We want to be able to, give folks the opportunity to customize the tools for their business. Everybody's business model is different. They're going to run it in a different way. Their workflow is different. How they account for things is going to be different. And of course, how they get their inventory. And we really kind of went about it to create this foundation that they can build from. So we can grow with them. We can support them as they grow and scale their businesses. So there's going to be functionality for all of them, even if they're using like a prep and ship company or all wholesale. It'll all be there.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about it is you can use the prep. You get big enough, you're going to want to get a prep center. Hire a prep service to do that for you, and you can do that totally with Inventory Lab. It just change your workflow just a little bit, and it works just the same.
And this is very, very important thing that you guys mentioned, Kim and Jeff, is because it's one of the things that I always tell people is that who wants to start from different countries selling in the US is to have a prep center. But the automation aspect of it, was very hard. But I think with having a tool like this with a huge foundation, it's not only a foundation, I think it's really an expert tool. It's an amazing tool. Regardless of what kind of business model, private label or retail arbitrage, because a lot of people, they do the same kind of business models in the same account, and that's give them the flexibility to be able to expand later on if they want it. And I really, 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 I'm a big fan. I'm not saying it because you're here. I do not do this kind of stuff. Just say, hey, I want to please you guys. But I really, really love the tool, and I'm really happy to have you guys here. So thank you so much for that. This is the question that a lot of people ask, is the difference between Stratify and Scoutify and what's Inventory Lab has to do with it. So please, if you can explain it.
That's an excellent question. So what we did is we kind of wanted to separate like two separate products underneath the Inventory Lab umbrella. So Scoutify is identifying the mobile app. And then Stratify would be identifying everything that's web-based. So we do use that term, but I'd say the vast majority of our folks, when they talk to us, they just say Inventory Lab and Scoutify, but we'll know what you mean either way. But Stratify, when we say that, that's everything that's web-based. So when you sit down, you log into your Inventory Lab account, everything you see there is going to be called under that Stratify heading, and then your mobile app is Scoutify.
So Stratify is basically the web app. And we have the Scoutify, it's like the one that you have in mobile. It's more like extension app that you'll be able to scan and do a lot of things with it, which is, a lot of people ask me that and I'm like, hey, it's Inventory Lab. No, we have no idea. It's called Stratify. Okay, I'm sorry, whatever you want. But thank you so much for clarifying that. And do you mind if you give me a little bit of highlight of Stratify product scouting tool for product research? Just give me a little bit of highlight. I know we're going to go in the demo, but what makes it really special? What makes it really that tool?
Sure. Jeff, do you want to talk about Scout?
Sure. Yeah, so in Stratify, the desktop app, we have a tab at the top. Each section has a tab, as you'll see in the demonstration, but under research is Scout. And with Scout, you can copy an ASIN, input it in there, and you can show all of the different fees that Amazon's going to charge you. Plus, you can also estimate your shipping. Most people, it's anywhere from 30 cents to 80 cents a pound for the shipping. So you can input that in there. Sales tax you might pay for those items. And then we'll give you a breakdown of your ROI percentage, return on investment, also your net profit for that item. And we'll also show you the different sales points, like new sales or new list prices, FBA list prices, used list prices. That'll all be there. We'll get the most competitive offers from Amazon for that item and display those. And what we'll also display is also an estimate of your long-term storage. And you can see, you know, if this doesn't sell right away, what it's going to cost you over time on the main Scout page.
Yeah, and that was a really big addition, the long-term storage fee graph that's there now. So when you're researching an item, you know, that really came into play a lot more as Amazon kind of updated their long-term storage fees and even just plain old storage fees. You know, that has to be looked at. You know, that's a factor now when it comes to the ROI percentage, more so than it was before. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like an interactive graph that you can use there to kind of just see how storage fees would affect profitability over time. So I guess that was about a year ago, maybe, right, that was added, maybe probably even more than that. But yeah, so that's, I was really happy with that addition.
Actually, I'm happy with it too. I saw it, how it goes with the graph. And I think a lot of data points that sellers, Amazon sellers, they do not pay attention to. They know about the sale, they know how much they got product for, but they don't know the hidden fees that Amazon does, like returns. You have this storage fees, you have long-term, you have short-term, you have a monthly ones, and those people cannot pay attention to all this. It's a big thing, and actually Amazon makes it in a very, very hard to get the data and to be able to see it in one place. I mean,
and that's that thing that we really wanted to put in place, because a lot of folks, exactly what you're saying, some of these fees don't look like they amount to much, you know, but it's really, really, really important to kind of bring all that data together before making those inventory decisions. So Jeff was talking about that you can plug in like an estimated shipping rate. So the cost to add an item to an FBA shipment, somewhere between 30 cents and 80 cents per pound. You can also put in any sales tax. So if you're paying sales tax when purchasing inventory, you can put that percentage in there. So, you know, a lot of times it doesn't, you know, it might be like 35 cents total. So some folks might not even think about that part, but you really want to bring those pieces together, making that informed decision before you purchase the inventory.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I think that's how you separate people who are from seasoned sellers to people who are just taking it as a hobby. And it's very, very thin line. If you do not know your numbers, if you don't know how much you're investing, how much you're getting in return, you cannot scale up. That's the most important, scaling up. I think that's where the issue, people are really staying that level and not moving up. It's not knowing how much they make and how much they can expand. So that's really, really beautiful thing. And do you mind if you tell me more about Keepa? I know Keepa now, they have adjusted, you know, their plans. They're doing a lot of things. Was a very good tool, honestly, which is you're the one of the only people who had that tool that makes it very easy to make a buying decision. Because a lot of times you see a BSR could be maybe 10,000. But if you see the whole graph, maybe the average was 15 or 20,000, or there was a sale. So Keepa, it's really, really important. And I actually use it in my own private label business, which is really, really important. But tell me, how's Keepa now? What's the situation with it? Is it still included? What happened? Tell me.
So Keepa did become a paid tool not too long ago. So that really affected our customers a lot. You know, it's just it's like peanut butter and jelly. It's like a go-to tool. Yeah. You really need to have that information available. But Amazon did reach out to us very recently and said that we needed to remove Keepa from everything, like everything. So Keepa was taken out of Scoutify and everything that you see in Stratify as well. So we kind of really put our heads together and thought, okay, this does not change the fact that this is important to our customers, especially our folks that are doing retail arbitrage, that are in those early stages, and even folks that have grown business through retail arbitrage. So what can we do? How can we help them access the tools that they need, to be helpful? So very recently, we added the option to add 2 custom shortcut buttons to Scoutify and Scout and the list page. So that is under your settings. And we can show you that later on. But what you're able to do is if you have a tool that you'd like to use that has an ASIN in the URL. So a lot of like keyword tools, if you have any of those, when you search or research an item using one of those tools, you'll see an ASIN is actually in that URL. So if you have a tool that does that, you're able to create a shortcut that will go directly to that tool. So if you're in Scout, for example, and you're researching a hammock or something, and you're looking at it there, you can click that button. Your tool is going to open up in a new tab with that product detail right there for you. So you won't, it's not just going to open up the tool, it's going to actually open up the tool already researching that item that you were looking at in Scoutify or Scoutify.
Wow, that's really awesome, and I think it's a great solution. I would love to have that in the demo as well. I think people really would love to have a visual of it, and I think, yeah, it was an important tool, honestly. But I'm glad that you guys really found something around it and make it work, which is really important. I actually was a part of app developing a team for like doing a product like the same thing as Jungle Scout and Helium 10. So I know how hard it is so my hat goes to you guys. That's a lot of money to be able to make the app and then still didn't work. So after $100,000.
Oh, wow.
But hey, it's a new, you can see that's the shiny object with entrepreneurs. They think they can do everything. And then when they do it, they suck at it and they think it's easy. But no, it's hard. And I learned hard, but hey, it's really, really, I mean, whoever does apps or does softwares, you guys are really on top of the game because this Amazon changes a lot. The API, everything from the back end, and that's how you need to work on it. And you need to have a full-time staff. And I hope people really understand how much really takes to be able to build a software like this, which is really, really sophisticated and at the same time makes it very simple for the Amazon seller. In terms of Scoutify, you cannot purchase it by itself. Is that true? Or you have to have Inventory Lab to be able to get access to it, right?
Correct. It comes bundled with your Inventory Lab account. So when you sign up for Inventory Lab, your login, your password, you can then download Scoutify from your app store and you access that with the exact same login.
A question, but that's off topic maybe, but why is you're not able to purchase it separately? Because it's a really important tool.
We get that a lot.
Yeah, we do. We get that question pretty often.
A lot. Everyone says, hey, I would love, use a Scoutify. Yeah, but you have to get Inventory Lab. You have to get them together. I think that's, I don't understand why. Why not? Like, I know, please, I'm not trying to push you, but it's really, I think everyone will buy it. I think everyone I don't know. I think it's a big.
I think so too.
Right. It's it's really huge. Now, do you mind if you tell us a little bit about the accounting aspect in Scoutify, which is the most important topic and tool that you guys have in Inventory Lab? I'm talking about for sellers' perspective, for growth. I'm not talking that's the only tool. No, everything that you guys do in the tools and all the tools that you have inside Scoutify are very important. But accounting, I think, is crucial because it's the most boring thing, and people they don't want to face the truth. And that's exactly with me. When I look at my accounting, please, let me disagree and tell me something that's in the positive, not in the negative. But tell us more about it. And sellers, can they use this specific tool for accounting instead of using QuickBooks or using Xero or whatever other accounting services they have?
Jeff, I'll jump in on that one. Jeff knows that this is by far my favoriteest topic. So when you start with Inventory Lab, really, one of the first things that you want to do, like I always tell everybody, like have a little bit of fun first, like go list some stuff and play with the bells and whistles. But then after that's done, we really want to see folks going into their inventory and first plugging in all of their cost per unit amounts, their suppliers, and their purchase dates if they have it. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. When that's done, we want to see you then hop over to under your accounting tab. There's a section called Other Expenses. So in Other Expenses, you're going to see all of the fees assessed by Amazon, not connected to a sale, that Inventory Lab is importing for you constantly. So you like your long-term storage fees, your Amazon Pro Seller subscription fees, pay-per-click, that sort of thing. But there is an add button in there, and we want you to click that button, and we want you to start to plug in all of your other expenses. So if you attended a conference, if you paid for a course, office expenses, warehouse expenses, tape, doesn't matter what it is, get this stuff plugged in, because this is what's really going to drive all of that automated accounting data for you. And this is what I mean by that. So you're going to be able to view profitability 4 different ways in Inventory Lab. You're going to view your profitability by category, by supplier, by MSKU, and by ASIN. So kind of giving you that perspective on what's working for your business and what's not. But really what we want to get people to is to that profit and loss report and to that net profit line item. And exactly what you were talking about earlier, and I think I've said it in every webinar. A lot of people say things like, know your numbers, know your numbers. But if you're brand new to this, that is not really very meaningful. Like, well, what does that even mean? I don't know. Before Inventory Lab, my professional background was in the nonprofit sector. And I really, really depended on e-commerce to, pay bills because it was the nonprofit sector. And, but I didn't have that background in business, and exactly what you were saying, I knew money was going out and I knew money was coming in, but I didn't know if I was profitable or not, or headed in the right direction. I had no clue. But it wasn't until I got on the other side of it, when I had that information in front of me, when I could go to that profit and loss report and see where I stood as a business, my net profit, it changed how I approached running my business. And I really make myself very vulnerable, exactly what you were saying. I was so pleased to hear that. It made the difference between me feeling like a stupid person selling stuff online and an entrepreneur. I could not self-identify as an entrepreneur until I knew that number. But it wasn't until I got on the other side that I really was able to see what a difference that made. I approached it different. My conversations about it were different. How I approached inventory was different. I think the word empowered or empowering is an overused term, but it is what allowed me to self-identify as an entrepreneur. I just came at all of it very, very differently.
And you mentioned, you'd mentioned the QuickBooks and Xero, and can this replace that? And I think for most sellers that become entrepreneurs, I think we can actually replace those kinds of accounting programs. Now, it's not a full suite where you'll have a balance sheet printed out for you and that sort of thing, but pretty much you can add any expense, any income into our application. That all gets funneled through to the profit and loss, just like Kim said. And then once that's done, you get a true picture of how profitable you are, because just last week we had several cases where people were looking at their sales. Oh, I made this much on this sale, but why am I showing a loss? Well, they forget about all those other expenses, but that's where the profit and loss really gives you the true picture. So
yeah, it really depends on your business. Some folks are like, their CPA is perfectly happy because you're able to export your profit and loss report. You're able to export your inventory valuation report. That's usually the other thing that people are after for tax purposes. Mm-hmm. That's your on hand and your inbound inventory's value and buy cost. So, if that fits your business, great. But, depending on your business, there are other folks that need some of the functionality that they find in Xero and in QuickBooks, which is, amazing software to be able to work with. So it really just depends on your business model.
I couldn't agree with you guys more. I think that's my favorite aspect tool in Inventory Lab, and I'll tell you why. Because I didn't know anything about accounting for the first year of my business. I didn't care. I didn't know. I just knew how I buy and how I sell, and that's it. And what's really frustrating for me, it was very hard for me to do the switch, as you said, from hobbyist to entrepreneur. And once I started getting into my numbers, made make very educated decisions of what I buy and how much profit margins I would like to have. That's one. And other thing, your tool, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me. It's $49, I believe, or $50 per month, right?
49, right?
Or $480 per year, which is a 20% savings.
Exactly, it's a huge, because any tool out there for accounting, a regular one, I'm not talking even Xero is I think $70 or $80, something like that. If you combine it with A2X, because it has to be together, it's gonna add up to $100 only for that specific function. I use I have my CPA because it's a little bit different accounting for me, because from Canada to the US and all the stuff is a little bit complicated. I use a very simple software and cost me $30 per month. It doesn't even have the flexibility to be able to add those extra categories of a spending. Like when you do retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, you're having people who you hired, you have gas, you have internet bill, and you can add all of that together, and you will have a very nice spreadsheet that you can give to your CPA that will be able to help you simplify things for you, which is very important. I believe, and please correct me again, I don't want to make just statements just like that. I think maybe 80 to 90% of sellers can use that tool and they'll be happy with accurate enough. Like me, I do coaching, I do consulting and everything. Maybe I can add zero to it because I have other stream of income that I can add together. But as a seller, I think Inventory Lab is really complete, and I think really can help you a lot, maybe 90% less headache in your business. And I'm not saying it I mean, people see my interviews and they know I'm always straightforward, but I really believe that's really, really a big asset.
Oh, thank you so much. It was important to us, it's again, going back to like a lot of our customers, they're coming to us, they're brand new. And a lot of folks, we're the first form of delegating a task that takes place. People think like delegating a task is hiring a staff or a team. Well, sometimes delegating, takes the shape of a Dymo printer. That might be the first step forward. But it is a big step for folks when they kind of start using software tools. So we want to be able to be within financial reach of those folks. One of the nice things about the e-commerce community is back in the day when we were starting businesses, we were told like, oh, it's going to be a big risk and you got to save up 6 months worth of expenses and you're going to put it on the line. The e-commerce community tells you to start with $200 and grow. So we wanted to be there to help those folks get over that initial hump and remove some of those barriers, because a lot of those barriers are fear-based. I don't know what to account for and when. I don't know, for me, I was very frustrated, discouraged, afraid. I had a terrible experience the first time I listed on Amazon and almost walked away from the whole thing after 16 hours and an awful lot of tears. But so it's important to us to have those tools there and ready for them when they are ready to take that step. There are some fantastic tools that are out there for, maybe if your business grows in just a different direction that are robust and not quite the price point of ours. A lot of them are significantly higher. But we do have that flexibility to support larger sellers, small, so small to medium, but we're there really just to kind of be able to offer those tools when they're needed by everybody.
It's awesome, really awesome, and I think you guys have done very well. I think ethically, an aspect of really caring about other people shows what kind of company you are, which is really, whoever running this show, it's really, I think it's a team, it's a culture that you guys have, but that's very important. And at the same time, it's, knowing that there's a human being that you have done that before. That's what helps you. Like, I was there. I was this new seller who just came in, and you understand how the fear, and that's the most important. I think if once you start putting yourself in that person's shoes, you understand everything. You'll be able to know their weak points, their strengths, their emotions, everything. And I think that's really, really amazing what you guys done.
I think a lot of the work that we do internally comes from that. Advocating for our customers, it comes from a different place because we were there. We know when to dig in and help our team really, be on point. But it comes absolutely from the spirit of that, just being there.
It's all about the heart, Kim and Jeff.
Yeah.
It's all about the heart, right or not?
Yep.
It comes from here and reaches there very quickly. So that's really, really important. I have just only three more questions. I think they're important. We're talking about repricers. As you know now, everyone who's really does retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, and all this kind of sourcing or flipping products, they need to have a repricer because Amazon changes, as you guys know, a little bit, up and down. So do you offer repricer, or you actually get integrated with Amazon repricer tool that they have? And are you able to connect to a third-party repricer like Bcool and Informed.co? So what's the answer? I'm sorry, I just mumbled a bit.
Jeff, do you want to speak to like our auto price rules and min and max and our integrations?
Sure. Yeah, so you can set up, when you list a product, you can set up what we call auto price rules, and those can be based on a certain ROI percentage you want, or do you want a certain percentage or amount above the buy box or below the buy box. And we can also automatically set your min and max price, and that's important too because that keeps your listing from being suppressed, because in the search results and that sort of thing, if you don't have a min and max, those can be suppressed. Not a lot of people know that. But we also have an integration tool that we use with, currently it's BeCool and Inform.co, and it integrates with those two repricers. And so they pull the cost for your items automatically into their programs, and then the rest of the stuff is done on their site. But it's an automatic integration, so it adds nice functionality.
You're also, because when you're listing in Inventory Lab, you're listing in batches. So a batch is just a really nice way to keep a large group of items kind of organized. You can include min and max price in the workflow, or you can leave it out entirely. But you can also choose to have those prices, the min and max prices, sent to Amazon. So if you are using Amazon's cost tools that they have, that can be done automatically. So you don't have to do it in Inventory Lab and then do it later on in Amazon. Or you can have the min and max tools or the min and max price part of the workflow, and then not send it to Amazon, but save it in Inventory Lab. We did find that a lot of folks liked the option to be able to set those min and max prices while they were listing, because while you're listing and you're in the app, you have a lot of that competitive information, so you're able to price your items competitively. So setting those min and max prices at that point is helpful, and then adding the auto price rules on top of that, so even taking that part of the process out. So they did find that helpful, but and then of course the integrations, that was really nice, because when you enter your cost per unit amounts while you're listing in Inventory Lab, those amounts can then be populated in your repricer, in your BeCool or your Inform.co repricer. It used to be that you would have to do it, in Inventory Lab, and then you would have to do it again, in the tool. So we wanted to eliminate that step, and so we built an API, our amazing engineer team, and so that we were able to get rid of that redundancy.
This is really, really awesome. That's why I asked it, because it's one of the important tools that a lot of sellers use, like repricers, especially in the flipping game, and to be able to connect them all in one spot is much better. I think the huge asset of Inventory Lab, it's the workflow. You know exactly where you start and where you're gonna finish, and when you finish, you're done. That's what's beautiful about it. It's not like repetition, going over. Okay, I've done this, I have to do it now again in another spot. It's all in one place, which is really, 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 really important. And I think with as you said before, there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of noise, and every day there's a new tool. And I think every seller, they just go ahead and buy everything. Like me, when I started, I had so many tools, and I have used only one, because I was so hard for me to have multiple tabs open up to try this, and that, right?
That was me. Yeah, I think I watched every video, every guru that's out there, and it's difficult to really sort through all of it. I did find, though, as I got a little bit more experience, that you do know the truth when you hear it. So that's one of those things. So if you do have like YouTube video tabs open up at the top, just trust your gut. You know the truth when you hear it. And there are a lot of really great tools out there. There's just, especially some of those tools that are focused on just one thing. There's some really amazing technology. But I was just in the App Store in Seller Central the other day, and I think it's like tripled. I was just there a couple months ago, and I just pulled it up and thought, oh my gosh, where did all these tools come from? So there are a lot of options out there.
I just did a video last week about what the tools that I use. I think tools is like a fine wine. Okay, it depends which tool that you have. It has the most age. I think that's the one you need to go with, because every tool has a lot of data points. That this tool, the age one, that really someone behind it who's really good, legit, they will have a lot of information that any new tools, they're not going to be able to catch to it. And that's the key, because any new tool that you get in, and as I told you, actually the main idea of our tool that we're thinking about is having all the tools in one spot, in one dashboard. Okay, it's very difficult to be able to build it, especially with the data points. So I really think you should do your own due diligence. Listen to this kind of YouTube. I think we always bring stuff that's really legit. I do not like to fluff it, not because I will get a kickback or affiliate. We don't have any affiliates, but I really like the tool, and that's important for me. And it's really, really do what's best for you and your budget, and that's really, really important.
And listen to the community. There's so many active Facebook groups. I know there seems to be a movement from Facebook to other social media, but the groups that are in Facebook are still very, very active, and the exchange of information is just fantastic. It's really something amazing. I just saw the other day there's like a new keyword tool that's out, and not just one group, but multiple groups. I started kind of seeing the name of this tool pop up, and people are just really thrilled with what's happening with this keyword tool. That's something that tells me, okay, this, there's a tool out there that's really helping sellers just really accelerate their sales with keywords of all things, and you don't really think about that when it comes to retail arbitrage. That maybe you look into it even further, but I really looked at the community a lot, because you can put together a great video, or like your website's beautiful, so it looks like you have funding, and you know what you're doing. But even if you know what you're doing, I'm still going to listen to the people that I see in social media and those influencers.
I had interviewed Barbara Boshin, if you know her.
It's actually her. Easy Key is actually the tool. Yeah.
Key, yeah.
Yep, that's the tool.
Very nice spin that she had. She had only keyword research, because everyone knows keyword research is about private label, but Easy Key and Co-Merchant was very for retail arbitrage people, for flipping product, for Jet, Walmart, for big listing and bulk editing. That was a really big key, because honestly, all the retail arbitrage or online arbitrage or flipping listings, they suck. Let's be honest. They suck. Like, there's nothing in the title. There's nothing in the bullet points to get them indexed. So
there are some good tools out there, but it was most recently, it was really impressive. I started to see it in multiple groups, so not just one. And folks just excited by what they were seeing, this immediate kind of result. So Barbara's amazing. And she's also from within the community. She is a fierce advocate, and somebody that I admire, and pleased to call her a friend. But I turn to the community. That's like my single source of truth. Even if I feel like I got a gut feeling about it, I look to the community before I make a decision.
She's amazing, and everyone talks good about her, and that's important. Reputation for everything you do is reputation. If reputation is I'm gonna say caca, you're caca. If you're good, you're good. You know what I mean? So that's how my little daughter, 5 years old, will explain it. But yes, reputation is very, very important. I have my last 2 questions. Can I import my current inventory into Scoutify? Let's say I already have an account, but now I want to set up one with Inventory Lab. Am I able to import that?
We're going to do it for you, actually. So when you sign up for Inventory Lab, you start your free 30-day trial. It's no obligation. There's no credit card involved at all. And you're going to kind of log in, and you're going to see a little window that's going to ask you to let you know that you're going to have to authorize Inventory Lab connecting with your Seller Central account. And then we take care of the rest really for you. So Inventory Lab will import for you automatically all of your active and your inactive inventory. And then during your trial period, we're going to import 60 days of accounting data. So that's all of your sales, your refunds, your reimbursements, removals, disposals, all of those other fees assessed by Amazon. We're going to import 60 days. And then once you upgrade to a paid account, you can then move forward and choose to have your historical data imported as well. But after that first time of connecting the account, your Inventory Lab account starts to kind of just communicate with your Seller Central account several times throughout the day. And each time that happens, your inventory and your sales, all of that's going to be updated for you.
That's really awesome. So you have no excuse, guys. If you get the tool, everything is set up for you. So you just need to do it. And it's really, really amazing tool. I don't know how many times I said amazing. That's the only video that I've said that's so many amazings, but it's really, really good tool. The last question. I know a lot of people now, when they expand, especially, it's a process, it's a journey. I believe selling on Amazon, you always start with something like what you're comfortable with. Like me, when I start with selling stuff from my home. And after that, I moved to retail arbitrage. Then I moved to online arbitrage, then pallets, then wholesale. And then now I'm in private label. So it's a process, as we know. But when you expand your business, one of the things that even when I was in private label, and the time is really, really hard to get. I used to get sourcing agents. I used to get people to scout product for me, to source, to do product research for me. So your tool, am I able to share that app, this logins with my workers to be able to work easily and to be able to get access to it with the same subscription?
Your Inventory Lab subscription, you have 2 sub-accounts that you can set up. And so in the case you were talking about having agents sourcing for you, those would also transfer to Scoutify. So you could set one up, say, as your sourcing email address, and then all of your agents would sign into Scoutify using that same address. That way they're not using your sign up and your password on your main account. And what you can do with each of those sub-accounts is you can restrict it as much as you want or as little as you want. For example, for your agents that are sourcing, you can just have them have access to Scoutify tools. So what that means is when they log in, say at the desktop app, it's not going to work for them because they have to log in using Scoutify. And then you can have as many at one time signed into the same email address. What a lot of people do also with the other sub-account is they'll have their prep center or maybe their accountant, and they'll set that up for them so that the prep center has access to certain aspects of it. But your main account would still be for you, and it would have unrestricted access, obviously.
Nice. This is really, really nice because I think a lot of people do that. And I think the app itself is very dumb-proof. And I don't know if I said it to be politically correct or not, but it's really because you can set the parameters that you want, and you just can, it's going to tell me, oh, it's yes, okay, or no good, right? Good or no good. And that's a very
For your ideal buy.
Yeah, good to buy or not. And I think if you have people that you really trying to teach, you'll be able to get them there very quickly.
So with those buy lists in Scoutify, there are a lot of ways that people use those, just really unique ways. So when you have this sourcing team, because you can have Scoutify on multiple mobile devices without limit, and they're all logging in through one master login, you can have multiple buy lists going at the same time. So a lot of times, you're sourcing something and you find something like, that you're going to purchase, you would add that to your buy list, and you've got your cost per unit amount, your supplier, there's all kinds of information that you can plug in, but you can set up buy lists for all of your different people. So you can set up those buy lists, here's Kim's buy list, here's Jeff's buy list, or maybe for each location, supplier, like, or store, or Walmart in Hoboken and Walmart in Deptford or whatever. But I've also seen people use those as BOLO lists. I actually keep a buy list in my Scoutify app. That's my BOLO list. I know somebody that uses a buy list as a shopping list, and then she kind of, uses it to train her shoppers to kind of move from one store to the other, like, really efficiently. So there's lots of different ways to use those, but those buy lists are then used to list in bulk. So you can import that into Stratify and then list in bulk as well. So it's just a really nice way to kind of have, like, if you're paying by commission, something like that, to have your shoppers on different buy lists, lots of different ways that you can use them. But it's really a great way, especially retail arbitrage, when you're ready to take that next step and grow and scale that business, expanding that sourcing team. This is a really great option to be able to do that.
And I think that's what really, really attracted me a lot. Is basically having those agents or shoppers that you have, and you'll be able to have, hey, this is John's, this is James, this is Nancy, whatever it is, you have them each. And at the end of the month, you can also give them the percentage of the commission that you decide to give them, because it's very hard to track it on Excel sheet. Trust me, I've tried. It's really, really bad.
I can show you how to do it in Inventory Lab.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's so easy. You have everything there. You can even name the SKU the way you want it with that specific shopper, which is really awesome. So I know we took more than we supposed to, but please, if you have the time still, and I really appreciate it again, if you give us that quick demo just to share to people. And if they want more information, I'll put your link, I'll put your Inventory Lab and all the contact information for you guys if anybody wants to follow up with you. Sure.
I'll go ahead and share my screen. So what we're looking at here is the list and prep page. And this is where kind of all of that is going to begin when we're going to be listing. But I'm going to come over here to research first. This is the area that Jeff was talking about earlier under your research tab. And here we have Scout. So this is your web-based research tool. Scoutify is your mobile research tool. And at the top right-hand corner, I'm going to go over here, and this is where I can put an ASIN, UPC, ISBN, or title. I'm just going to plug in ASIN in here and click search. And now I have all of this information about kind of what's currently happening with this item. We can see right over here at the left, we can have the rank, category, size tier, and then prep type. So that requires something like polybagging, that would appear there. Here we have the fees assessed by Amazon with this item. And here's the shipping and sales tax. So we're using our colleague Abigail's account today. She's not really a seller, so we like to use her account and try to break things and such. But she does not have anything set here for that shipping rate. So this would be the 30 cents or $1 per pound, and then the sales tax rate right here. So if we were to say we are able to purchase this item for $2, I'm going to plug that cost per unit amount down right here. And we can see that the cost per unit, those projected storage fees, that shifted around a little bit. But the bottom right-hand corner, we're able to see that net profit percentage and that ROI percentage. So I could kind of move these things around, if I think maybe I can get a better deal on it. But to get additional information, we have all of these tools right here. We have Book Scouter, eBay, Google, Camel, the Prime Comparison tool, the Amazon Restrictions tool. And then if we were to add one of those custom shortcut buttons, they would appear right here. And then above, we can see the current list prices for this item. We can see that there's currently actually 6 other listing or folks that are on that listing, excuse me. And then we see 4 list prices. Why are we not seeing 6 list prices? That's because Amazon only shares with us the offers that they consider to be competitive. So that's what we're seeing here. And then in the FBA category, column, we can see to the left of the list price, a little O and a little A right there. If we go down to that key, we can see that that's currently the list price that has the buy box, and that Amazon is likely the merchant on that listing. And to the right of the list prices, we're able to see that little N, and that's a condition identifier, letting us know that those list prices are for a condition new product. So you might see like VG for very good or LN for like new, but we're seeing new products here. So this is where you really want to go again, kind of just really getting that information together before you're purchasing that inventory. I'm gonna hop over to list. And as I had mentioned in Inventory Lab, you're going to be listing in a batch. We kind of said you want to think of a batch like a shopping cart sort of thing, really just a nice way to take a large group of items, or not a large group, just a few, but a nice way to kind of keep them organized. So I started a new batch, and we can see that we can customize each batch, for whatever we're listing. A lot of times, if you're listing retail arbitrage and it's going to be FBA every time, you're really just going to go down to the bottom and click create, but you can customize each one. The first field right here, batch name. So this is the date and time, but I could change this if I wanted to. So I could call this, there we go. And then we have our ship from address here. Our packing type, this is whether or not we're listing individual products or case packed products in this batch. Our channel is, are we listing merchant fulfilled inventory today? Or are we listing FBA inventory in this batch? The workflow type is whether or not you want to list this in a private workflow or a live workflow. We recommend, kind of out of the gate, you want to use that private workflow. It's a really nice guided process and the steps to, from beginning to end, like what you were describing before. A live workflow has a lot of benefits as well, but we just suggest right out of the gate, maybe using that private workflow first. Labeling preferences, this is, I'm labeling my items, or I'm going to have Amazon label them for me. And then I can choose to include the box content step, providing Amazon with box content information. I can include that in the workflow as well, or I can choose to leave that out if I want to. I'm going to turn that on.
I think it's always a good idea to have that on, just because there's so many more editing capabilities with it on than off. So it helps you correct some of those mistakes, like say you list something restricted or hazmat and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I turn on box contents no matter how many items, even if I'm absolutely positive it's all going to go in one box. Right. I still turn it on just because it gives me that added flexibility, that extra step and option if as it has so many times where like we'll list something and my husband will go take it to drop it off, and I'll just walk by the laptop and see that there was an item in that batch that required an expiration date, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So, get him on the phone. He's at Staples. He has to open up the box and tell me the expiration date. But because I had box contents on, I'm able to go back in and enter that information after the fact.
That never happened to me, Kim, at all.
Well, who knew shampoo had an expiration date?
When you start, you don't have anything organized and you have all the products there, you're so excited, you will forget some, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. All the time. But, we have a message that pops up at the end after you kind of share that information with Amazon, and they come back and they say, success, that, everything has been validated. And then if not, a little red window pops up and it says, hey, you forgot something here. So my husband didn't wait for the message. So I thought, I don't know that speaks very highly of me as the customer learning and development coordinator there, babe.
Oh, blame the man, blame him. As I do, I blame my wife on everything.
I'm going to go ahead and I have on min and max prices, so I could leave it out entirely, just like what we were saying. I could include it and send those min and max prices to Amazon, or I could include it and just save those min and max prices in Inventory Lab. Then that's what I'm going to do here. And then the shipping method. So this is Amazon asking us, is this a small parcel delivery or less than truckload? The LTL shipments, that's identifying really a shipment with 200 boxes or more. And anything less than that's going to be the SPD, or the small parcel delivery. So like I said, usually you click new batch and you kind of just hop down to click create, because things are going to be basically like where you like them to be already. But I'm going to go ahead and click create. And now we have our batch, so we can kind of start putting our products in there. So just like Scout at that top right-hand corner, I can put an ASIN, UPC, ISBN, or title. I'm going to go ahead and plug in that same ASIN that I used over there in Scout. So we're going to say that we purchased about 25 of these. This is a really great product, by the way. These things changed my life. They're eyeglasses cleaners. I was showing them to Jeff when we were at the conference. I was like, okay, I got to show you my peeps. These things are amazing. So if you wear eyeglasses, you got to look for these things.
There's 3 of us that wear that. I mean, can you believe it? All of us were wearing glasses.
Yeah.
I had the worst problem with smudges, and those little claws didn't work out very much. But this thing is great. But just like we saw in Scout,
I have it everywhere.
Yep, see? You need peeps. I got my peeps right. Look, actually, they're right here. Yeah, I'm not even joking about those things.
I'm crazy. If I see a little bit of on my glasses, any smudges, I'm done. I will throw my glasses instead.
So this isn't like a cloth that's in there. It's like carbon based. So it cleans your glasses 500 times before it doesn't work anymore. And it's been amazing. It's like when I tell you, it's been like a big thing for me. I'm not even joking. But at the top, we see the same stuff that we already saw in Scout. We've got the title, and there's that rank, that category, the size, tier, and prep type. And then right above that title, we can see that nice guided process. We see that we're on step 1 of list and prep. And then after we're done listing in the batch, we'll move on to that next step. We have the reminder field here. A lot of folks used to use this for expiration dates. They wanted to be reminded when they needed to remove something, but they don't need to do that anymore. We have that in the next step here. But if you do need to remind yourself about something with the product, you can choose that date, plug that message in right there, and then you're going to receive that as a notification in your account when that date rolls around. Your tax code here, if Amazon's collecting sales tax on your behalf, you've already set that tax code in Seller Central. You want to choose the corresponding tax code here. Our battery and regulated. This is Amazon is satisfying the requirements for dangerous goods. So we need to let them know if it has a battery or if it's regulated. And then we get to the fun part. We've got the quantity. So we're going to say I have 25. We're going to say I paid $2 for these. When did I purchase them? We're going to say I got them over the weekend. And then I'm going to pick my supplier. We're going to say I picked these up at Ollie's. They don't have an expiration date, but if they did, I could put that right here. And then we have the MSKU. So I do want to kind of stop here because you had mentioned this before. The MSKU, or the Merchant Stock Keeping Unit, this is a unique identifier for each ASIN that you're listing against. What we're seeing here is just a unique identifier that Inventory Lab has set for us. It's done automatically, but there are some custom tools that you can use. Probably the most popular is the custom variable MSKU tool, and we'll look at that in just a second. But remember that we have this, just random everyday kind of MSKU here, but it'll look a little bit different when I go through the workflow just in one smooth process. Here we have the condition. We're going to say that this is in new condition. And Abigail has her settings on the account to set the list price, which we're seeing over here on the bottom right-hand corner. This is already set to $15.72, and we've got our min and max prices here. I'm going to go ahead and click the auto price rules just so we can kind of see what her settings are. So she has the settings, she wants her minimum price to be 20% lower than the list price, and the maximum price rule to be 50% higher than the list price. So that can be changed just right here on the screen if you want to. You can also make adjustments right here in the field. So if we say 408% ROI isn't quite enough for us. We want it to be more than that. We want it to be, let's just say 420% ROI. And that's going to update the list price, the min price, and the max price. And then at this point, with everything done, we're going to click Add to Batch. Now, this is where probably one of the most, it's a differentiating factor from how you list in Seller Central. Oop. Oh, it's restricted. Of course it is. I'll grab a different one in just a second. But as you're adding items to each batch, that's the moment that your barcode labels are going to be printed. So that's going to be a little bit different than Seller Central, where you list everything and then you create shipments and then you print off your 30 up labels, go back and match them all up. You're going to be printing labels as you list each item. Inventory Lab supports Dymo, Zebra, Brother, and now the Rollo thermal label printers. So it really is a huge time saver, and probably when I talk about the bells and whistles and why people usually come to us, they're very anxious to start printing labels because it's just such an improvement over the workflow. Just want to grab a different.
I think we all agree on this one. I mean, this is the very important feature that while you're listing a product, you can print right away the FNSQ, and you will have it. I mean, I remember when I first did it, I used to have like hundreds of units and open them at the same time. Come read it. Which one is it? I had my daughter with me and my wife, and we all of us trying to figure out which one. And if anything that's really far, my wife will do. Anything closer to me, I'll be taking care of it. I'm too lazy to get up.
Like on those 30 up label sheets?
Yeah, I have the Dyno also. And is really, really, really good. And I have the scanner with it. So scan, get it, print, and good.
Nice. I'm going to just click on that custom ASIN, or excuse me, custom MSQ tool. We can see that right here, that currently we're on that auto-generated MSQ, but I'm going to click edit. I want to change that, and I want to turn on that custom variable MSQ tool right here. So what I want to do is I want to build an MSQ with just different components. So I want to tell Inventory Lab to build my MSQ from the supplier, list price. I want to go ahead and put somebody's name in here. I'm going to add that. I'm going to bring that down here. I'm going to build this MSQ with these different things. And I want to have, let's say, the purchase date as well. There we go. And I'm going to, put these however I want them to be. And what's going to happen is as I'm listing, Inventory Lab's going to take these different components, pull them together, and build that MSQ. So exactly what you were talking about before, if you do have folks that are sourcing inventory for you, you can put them into this MSQ as you're listing items, and then you can go to your MSQ profitability report or your sales information and look for the MSQ that starts with that name and be able to see what kind of sales they had in a period of time to be able to pay them commission on that. The count right here is the only piece that you can't take out. This is how Inventory Lab is going to make sure each of your MSQs remains unique. So I'm going to click Save Changes. I'm going to grab another ASIN here, and hopefully this one won't be restricted, but we'll see.
What you just mentioned just now was really awesome. The perfect, I used to call it perfect SKU, and my wife used to do it manually all the time. So we get how much you bought it for, how much, what's the buy box price, how many units, and we have codes for our each supplier, which is Walmart, Toys R Us here we have, and all the stuff. So this is just to automate the whole thing. It's awesome. I don't know, can you adjust the buy box at that time when you bought it? Do we have that a variable or no?
Say it one more time.
The buy box variable. So you have the buy box, you have the count, you have the sales rank, you have everything. But do you have the buy box? Like when you buy the product today and the buy box was $20.
That's a good question. No, we don't. But if you have your account set for the list price to automatically buy or automatically match the buy box list price, you can include list price here in the MSQ. So it would work that way, but not one specific to the actual buy cost. So if your list price doesn't match the buy box, then that's a really good suggestion though. Very interesting.
Yeah. I used to use it a lot for buy box because, you always have inventory that you want to flip within 3 months to 6 months. So if you have the buy box today, hey, I bought at $20, but then I see the price start slowing. So that means, hey, just hurry up, sell it. And if it's really high, I bought a buy box for 20, but now it's moving to 50. That means something I can buy more and make more profit out of it.
Interesting.
So that's why. But that's
that is a good idea.
I'm going to go through this, the listing workflow kind of quickly here, and then I just want to kind of show you the velocity report and give you an idea of how you can use that before we wrap up. I know we're kind of going a little bit over time now. I'm going to plug this ASIN in here. So this window, I've clicked on that ASIN, and instead of going right to the product details, Inventory Lab is saying, hey, this already exists in your inventory. Is this a replenishment? So if it's the same size, same condition, I want to use the same MSKU. So I'm going to say, yes, it is a replenishment. And then everything is the same from there. We're going to say for quantity, I'm going to say I have 30. I'm going to say that I paid a different cost per unit amount this time around. I'm going to say I paid $1.99 this time. And I purchased it on a different date as well. We're going to say I got this also over the weekend, but I did get it from the same supplier. There's our MSKU. It matches how it was before. And the condition is also new. Everything's over there on the right-hand side. I got my list price. I'm good to go. I'm going to click Add to Batch. And hopefully I won't be restricted this time. So now I would have my 30 labels printing at this very moment. I would continue to list. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I was going to be restricted again. I don't have my printer hooked up. So this is Inventory Lab's telling me like, hey, we're trying to print labels here and it's not working. I would continue to list items in this batch. And once I'm done, I'm able to move forward with the process to that next step to review batch. This is just a nice stop for you to just kind of look everything over, print any additional labels that you might need, just double check things before you move forward, because it's after that step that Inventory Lab is going to take all the details of the items in the batch and they're going to, it's going to be transmitted to Amazon, and Amazon's going to immediately come back and say, okay, this is where we're routing this inventory. So you can choose to create those shipments and they then become working shipments, or you can choose to decline them and you just come back to this page. So that's kind of like the difference when you jump from here. A little window pops up and just says, okay, are you, just confirming that you're ready to move forward, because we're going to tell Amazon about all of this stuff now. And right away, where it's going to be routed. You're then on the proposed FBA shipments page. And then when you do create the shipments, you then move forward to that box contents step right here. So you're able to assign your items to boxes. You can even use a barcode scanner to scan your barcodes to assign things to boxes, which is nice because really just kind of helps to speed up that process. And from there, when that's done and you send that box content information off to Amazon, you just then hop over to Seller Central to print off your shipping labels. And you're all done after that. After that point, nothing's deleted or lost. The batch is then closed, and you can find that in the closed batches section of your account. So everything is maintained.
One thing that throws people off initially is they'll see that tentative destination there, AVP1. And that's not going to be, it may or may not be where that's going. So don't be surprised when you first start using this if you see a lot of different fulfillment centers, because we learn as you list more, where your most common FCs are. And so then those estimates become more accurate, but it's on the proposed FBA shipments where it's actually going to be showing you that. So
yeah, they are just that, just tentative.
Just tentative.
But I do want to touch on that velocity report. I'm going to go over, and actually, we're not going to be able to see a whole lot in Abigail's account, but I just want you to know where it is. Right here under reports, velocity report, right here. So this is going to be where you would want to go to kind of track your replenish by dates. So what do I mean by that? To kind of show you, I'm going to go to my inventory page, and I'm going to right click on inventory just so I can open that up in a new tab. Now the default view here is going to be the accounting view as Abigail's page kind of populates here. What I'm going to do is change that accounting view to the management view. It's right up here at the top, kind of about 2/3 of the way over from the left. So with management view, we've got a couple of different, new columns, and I'm going to just be looking here at the replenish lead time column. So what I want to do is put in the number of lead time days I need. And by that, I mean the number of days I need to source an item, prep it, ship it, have Amazon receive it, process it, and get it added to my inventory, for my replenishments. So this is going to help me avoid out of stocks and overstocks. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in. We're going to just say that this item, this second one here, is a replenishable item in our inventory, and it takes me 28 days. I need 28 days lead time for that. I'm going to click Save. And now, within a day, usually it doesn't take anywhere near that long, but we like to say give it a little bit. Over in your velocity report, you're going to see the replenish by date. So there's a lot of other information here too, but the replenish by date, that's the date that you want to source the item so you can start prepping it, so that you can get it into a fulfillment center before you're out of stock. So that's going to be based on, some higher math that makes me very uncomfortable, but it's like your average daily sales, your max sales, whether or not you want to include safety stock in that calculation, but it's going to give you that replenish by date. So it's just like a nice guide to help you keep your replenishable items in stock.
This is really huge because, especially for people who are doing wholesale,
Yeah.
I think this is really important. Replenishable, what's the time, because they factor in the velocity of sales plus how long it takes for prepping, plus how long it takes for shipping, and you see how many units you have divided by that specific week, and then you will know how long you have left, which is really important. And I think this is very important, especially also like with the reminder message that you showed us before. I'm just thinking all the time, and I'm thinking like, hey, this I'll get a lot of times when I go source and I have my connections and closeouts, whatever. Hey, just check with me in 2 weeks. We're gonna get a new shipment coming in. So hey, the reminder for this product. Hey, go ahead and see Jim, because Jim has this product replenished at that time, which is really
that'd be a perfect
that's
use
amazing
for that.
also for private label too.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So this velocity report is something that you should start using sooner rather than later, also because, again, the more it's in effect, the more accurate the data becomes, because it has to kind of learn how your sales are going. So if you only have a window of 30 days, it's not going to be as accurate as if you had like a year, because then it's going to take into account, those surges and that sort of thing. Quarter four is not going to be the true measurement of how well that sells, but over the course of a year, you can kind of get an idea. So
it's I think this machine learning for everybody, even the algorithm itself for Amazon A9 or A10 now, that's how they do. They make sure they take all the data points over a period of time, learn it, and then replicate it very easily. That's exactly what we're doing here also with the software. So we're trying to do magic, but give us the time to be able to perfect it, right?
Yep, you got it.
Really awesome. What else do you have for us, Kim? Is that the last one, or you have more you want to show us? Because this tool, we can stay for hours talking about it, honestly, and what we can do with it. It's ridiculous, honestly.
There are a lot of like higher level things and tips and tricks. You definitely want to, go in, especially if you're brand new, go into your settings and your advanced settings. That listing process, a lot of those fields you can have populated automatically by having it default to whatever you put in the last time, especially like for your tax code. That's like a really long list of tax codes. You don't want to have to scroll through that every time to pick agent tax. So you can have that, say agent tax every time. Just like, we were talking about the sales tax and the shipping expense doesn't really seem to amount to much. Really take advantage of all of those opportunities to automate. So eliminating unnecessary clicks, it does really, really add up. And as you, kind of are on that journey and you start to, if you don't already, self-identify as an entrepreneur, you'll come to understand even more the value of your time. I think that really kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, the nose to the grindstone, $6,000 or 6 months worth of expenses, saved up and risk it all. A lot of folks really don't prioritize things like that, because we have this elbow grease kind of mentality. Like, we have to pay our dues and elbow grease, and they hold on to things and not delegate. Maybe you're not ready to delegate, with employees or team, but start to kind of eliminate the unnecessary steps, the unnecessary clicks. There's a lot of different ways that you can automate a lot of that listing workflow. And it's just every click is valuable. If you go into our YouTube channel, I actually have a video. It's like 10 things that you can do in less than 60 seconds to improve exactly that efficiency of the listing workflow. Our YouTube channel is actually filled with a lot of different videos exactly looking at things like that. I really wanted to touch on that velocity report. Just remember, if you're coming in, go to your inventory, get those cost per unit amounts plugged in, your supplier purchase date if you have it, because that's what's going to populate all of those reports. Remember your profitability reports, that profit and loss report, that's going to start to drive all of that amazing information. By cost, then go to your accounting tab, go to other expenses, and put all your other expenses. And same thing with income. If you're selling on other marketplaces, if you just need a place to be able to capture additional income, like we'll have folks that'll come into other income and put in their gross eBay sales, and then they'll go to other expenses and put in their fees. So it's just, things that you want, instead of having it just kind of piecemealed all over the place, getting it into one centralized location so that you can go to your reports tab, go to that profit and loss report and know where you stand as a business. I'm telling you, it's even if that number is not what you want it to be, it's the knowing that is valuable. It's just the knowing that creates that shift where you're running a business and you're an entrepreneur. Just knowing, you don't have to have a 10 or a 6-digit number in there to self-identify as an entrepreneur. Just knowing the number, whatever it might be.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's all about data. The same data that you use to be able to find a profitable product, and validating is the same thing. How you validate your business and making sure it's profitable or loss. So is that something for you to do, or that's something that's not for you? Like e-commerce is not that easy as a lot of people represent that. And I think a lot of misunderstanding going on, and think people, hey, quick, it's a money pit. It's very quick. You're gonna make money and all this stuff. No, it takes a process. It takes a lot of growth. It takes a lot of wisdom until you reach to your goal. But it's possible. We all have done it. I mean, a guy, I never even knew anything about e-commerce, zero. I used to pump gas. I used to do a car wash, even that I had a degree in mechanical engineering technology, and still was able to do it as long as you have the drive and you have the systems. And I think with tools like that, makes it very easier for us to do it. So I think you have, I think we can stop sharing so we can see you guys a little bit more, if you don't mind, Kim.
Sure.
And we can close this interview. I know we went over. I really appreciate your time, Kim and Jeff. You were guys really awesome. I couldn't thank you enough. I think you guys have a really, really great tool. I think the team and the management, congratulations to you guys. You really, really outdone yourself, which is really, really awesome. And if any last thoughts you want to give those beginners, our sellers, we have a lot of our community who are really new sellers. So if you have any advice for them from Kim and Jeff, really will be helpful before we close that last segment.
I think I've talked enough. I'll hand that over to you, Jeff.
I would say that no matter how it looks on your screen, because it's easy to make a mistake, but we make it very easy to correct those mistakes. So don't stress out. Don't freak out if you see something that's not supposed to be the way you think it should be on the screen. Just reach out to us in support. We have support 7 days a week. You can open up a support ticket right from the support tab in Inventory Lab. You can also open up a chat Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, and we can help you, on the spot. So rather than fumbling around in Seller Central trying to correct something, you can do pretty much everything within our application as far as corrections, and we can get you back on track very easily.
That's really, really awesome. I think customer service are very important. I think you guys having 7 days a week plus from 8 to 5 during work hours or work days, which is really awesome. Business days for live chat, which is really awesome. So guys, I'm going to leave. Thank you so much for being here again. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we can do it in the future again, and we can go deeper in any tool that we want, because we just touched the surface. And I'm going to leave your links on Inventory Lab, the YouTube channel, and the links for Inventory Lab down below. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.
Thanks again for having us. Yeah, take care.
Bye.